Lewis Hamilton was more than half a second behind Charles Leclerc in first practice. Then something inside Ferrari's SF-26 suddenly clicked. On the medium tire, Hamilton immediately beat Leclerc's opening effort by 455 thousandths. When Leclerc fought back on soft tires, Hamilton answered just 2 minutes later with a 1 minute, 18.729, taking first place by 148 thousandths and sealing a Ferrari 1-2. But the shocking part is not the lap itself. Ferrari's pace was strong from the beginning, which means Hamilton may have finally unlocked the balance, rear stability, and confidence he struggled to find during his first season in red. And if that breakthrough is real, the 45-point championship gap may no longer feel safe. Subscribe to the channel. The first practice session did not make Hamilton look like the man in control. Charles Leclerc set the fastest time with a 1 minute, 19.075. He was quickest in every sector. Max Verstappen placed the Red Bull second. Hamilton finished third with a 1 minute, 19.618. The gap to Leclerc was 543 thousandths of a second. More than half a second. That was not a disaster, but it was enough to create a familiar question. Had Hamilton truly found the SF-26, or was Leclerc still the driver who understood it more naturally? Because Leclerc did not simply lead the session through one exceptional sector. He was fastest across the entire lap. Every section, every demand, braking, rotation, acceleration. That kind of performance usually suggests confidence. The driver is not searching for the car. He already knows what it will do. Hamilton looked competitive, but not yet complete. He was close enough to remain in the fight, far enough behind to know something was still missing. And that difference matters more inside a team than it does on the television screen. A driver does not only see his own lap time, he sees where his teammate gained. He sees the braking traces, the steering inputs, the throttle application, the minimum corner speeds. He knows when the other side of the garage has found a cleaner connection to the same machine. That can create pressure, but it can also create the clearest possible reference. Leclerc had already shown what the Ferrari could do. Hamilton now had a target. The difficult part was understanding where the missing time existed. Was it braking? Was it tire preparation? Was it confidence in the rear? Was it one particular sequence of corners? The source does not provide complete telemetry or sector losses for Hamilton, so no exact corner can be identified honestly. But the change between first and second practice shows that something significant happened. Hamilton did not remain half a second behind. He reversed the order, and he began doing it before the soft tire even appeared. His opening time in second practice was a 1 minute, 19.648 on the medium tire. That lap already placed him 455 thousandths ahead of Leclerc's first effort in the same session. Nearly half a second. That was the first major sign that Hamilton had found a different relationship with the car. The medium tire matters because it normally gives the driver less immediate grip than the soft. There's less help available. The car has to communicate clearly. The driver has to build confidence instead of leaning on the tire to hide a weakness. Imagine running in shoes with slightly less grip. You cannot simply throw your body into every change of direction. You have to understand where the surface will hold. You have to be cleaner, more controlled, more precise. Hamilton's early pace suggested he had reached that level of understanding. He was no longer reacting to the Ferrari. He was beginning to guide it. That is a crucial difference. When a driver is still learning a car, every corner becomes a question. Will the front respond? Will the rear remain stable? Will the tires reach the correct temperature? Will the grip remain through the middle of the turn? Once the driver understands the car, those questions begin disappearing. The movement becomes automatic. Brake, turn, accelerate. The car responds. The driver commits more. That commitment creates time. And Hamilton's medium tire lap suggested the process had already started. But the true test was still coming. Leclerc switched to the soft tire and raised the benchmark. At 6:43 in the evening, local time, he set a 1 minute, 18.877. That was the kind of lap that could have restored the order from first practice. Leclerc back on top. Hamilton chasing again. The pressure shifted immediately. Hamilton now had a clear target, and the soft tire changed the challenge. More grip allows a driver to brake later, carry more speed, attack the corner harder. But the extra grip also loads the car more aggressively. The suspension works harder. The aerodynamics become more important. The balance can become sharper. A car that feels calm on the medium tire can become nervous on the soft because the forces increase. That is why drivers sometimes look comfortable on one compound and suddenly struggle on another. Hamilton did not struggle. 2 minutes after Leclerc moved into first place, Hamilton answered. 1 minute, 18.729, 148 thousandths faster. First place recovered. That response is where the story changes. Hamilton did not need several attempts. He did not need the session to come back to him. He did not need Leclerc to make a mistake in the final comparison. He saw the reference. He understood the demand. He responded. That is what a driver does when the car finally makes sense. And the psychological effect inside Ferrari would have been immediate. Leclerc had dominated the morning. He had been fastest in every sector. He had looked like the natural reference. Then Hamilton moved from third to first in the afternoon. Not through luck. Not through an unexplained final second lap. Through a progression that began on the medium tire and continued on the soft. That progression is more important than the final number alone. A single fast lap can happen for many reasons. Cleaner traffic, better tire preparation, a slightly lighter fuel load, a better moment on the track. The source does not provide enough information to rule out every variable. But it does say Ferrari's pace was sustained from early in the session. That means Hamilton's speed was not presented as one isolated peak. It appeared before the final attack. It remained when Leclerc improved, and it produced the fastest lap when the pressure was highest. That is a much stronger sign. Think of a boxer who lands one perfect punch after losing every round. The punch matters, but does not prove control. Now imagine the boxer improving early, matching every response, then finishing with the decisive blow. That tells a different story. Hamilton's second practice followed that pattern. He built the pace. He held it. Then he completed the response. But there was another detail revealing how narrow the limit had become. Leclerc locked up at turn 12 during his qualifying simulations. That did not erase his speed. He still finished second, but it showed the Ferrari was being pushed close to the edge. At the Hungaroring, a lockup is expensive. The driver loses the ideal braking phase. The front tire can slide. The car misses the correct rotation. The exit becomes weaker. And because the circuit is so tightly connected, the loss can continue into the next part of the lap. Hamilton's advantage was not simply that he drove faster. It was that he delivered the cleaner final answer. That does not mean Leclerc lacked control. The gap was only 148 thousandths. Tiny. The order could change again with one cleaner corner. But Hamilton had proven something important. He could match Leclerc's confidence, and then he could beat it. That may be the clearest sign, yet that his adaptation to Ferrari had reached a new level. His first season in red had been difficult. Different systems, different braking behavior, different engineering language, different steering feedback, different procedures. A driver changes teams, and the public sees a new uniform. The driver feels an entirely new world. The way the car communicates under braking changes. The way the rear moves changes. The way the engineers describe balance changes. The way the tires are prepared changes. Even the feeling through the steering wheel can require adjustment. Hamilton had spent years inside one technical environment. Then he entered another. That transition could never be reduced to simple confidence. It required rebuilding habits developed over an entire career. That is why his comment before Hungary mattered. He said he felt worlds away from where he had been the previous year. That was not simply a statement about mood. It suggested the relationship with the car had changed. The driver who once needed to translate every reaction may now have understood the Ferrari instinctively. And the lap time supported that possibility. Third in the morning, first in the afternoon, more than half a second behind Leclerc in first practice, 148 thousandths ahead in second practice. That is a serious transformation across one day. But Ferrari's performance also made Hamilton's breakthrough more convincing. Leclerc had led first practice. Hamilton led second practice. Ferrari topped both sessions with different drivers. That meant the team was not depending on one exceptional performance. The SF-26 appeared strong across both sides of the garage. That matters because one fast driver can sometimes hide a difficult car. Two fast drivers suggest the machine itself is offering something real. And Hungary may have been the circuit that allowed Ferrari's strengths to become visible. Before the weekend, Fred Vasseur said the Hungaroring could suit the car slightly better on paper. But he refused to treat that as a guarantee. Execution would make the difference. That warning was important. A circuit can suit a car, in theory. The team still has to prepare the tires, choose the correct wing level, manage traffic, complete clean laps, avoid reliability problems. and Ferrari had already received a reliability warning in first practice. Leclerc ended the session in the garage with a problem. The source does not specify the exact cause, so it would be wrong to invent one, but the interruption showed that speed alone would not be enough. Ferrari could dominate the timing screen and still lose the weekend if the car failed when it mattered. That is why Hamilton's second practice result brought both excitement and pressure. The pace was there. The team had produced a 1-2, but the next challenge was converting Friday performance into something that mattered. Qualifying position, race pace, championship points, and Hamilton needed all three. He arrived in Hungary second in the Drivers' Championship. The gap to Kimi Antonelli was 45 points. That is a serious deficit, but is not impossible. One victory can change momentum. One difficult weekend for the leader can compress the fight. One run of strong Ferrari results can turn pressure in the opposite direction. Hamilton had already won in Barcelona before the summer interval. Then he finished fourth in Belgium. Hungary therefore represented more than another practice session. It was an opportunity to prove Barcelona had not been an isolated success. Different circuit, different demands. Another strong Ferrari. That is how a title challenge becomes believable. One victory creates attention. Repeated performance creates fear. And Hamilton's fastest lap may have been the moment the rest of the grid began asking whether Ferrari had finally found consistency. But that answer still depended on what Ferrari had unlocked technically. The most visible change was the latest evolution of the Macarena rear wing. Ferrari brought the third version of that concept to Hungary. The new design included an additional hanger flap above the movable flap. That sounds complicated. The basic purpose is easier to understand. Hungary demands high aerodynamic load. The car needs grip through corners more than it needs maximum straight-line efficiency. The rear wing helps press the car into the track. More load at the rear can make the car feel more secure. The driver can brake with greater confidence, turn with more commitment, apply the throttle earlier. But more wing also creates more drag. The car becomes slower in a straight line.